If you've ever seen movies or TikToks specifically about Texas, you probably have this very specific image in your head. Cowboys riding horses everywhere, giant trucks, everyone carrying guns, eating barbecue every single day, saying y'all every other sentence. And honestly, some of the stereotypes are completely false, but some of them are so true that it's actually concerning. As someone who lived in Texas, then moved abroad in the UK for years and just all over the world, and then now I've moved back, I kind of feel like I've experienced Texas from both the inside and the outside perspective, because after living in Europe and then coming back, I realized that Texas really is its own little world. So today we are going to go through some of the biggest Texas stereotypes and decide once and for all, true or false. First up, Texans eat barbecue every week. Honestly, mostly true. Maybe not literally every single week for every person, but barbecue culture is huge here, especially Central Texas barbecue. Texans are genuinely passionate about brisket specifically. People here do not casually talk about brisket. It's treated like an art form. And what's funny is that people debate barbecue spots the same way that people debate sports teams. Franklin Barbecue in Austin, Terry Black's, Interstellar, Salt Lake. People get emotionally invested in these conversations. And there's also this culture around waiting in line for barbecue that I think is hilarious. Texans will literally stand outside for 2 or 3 hours. It's 100 degrees outside just to get brisket, and nobody questions it. It's just accepted as part of the culture. Barbecue is also tied to so many social events here. Weekend family gatherings, birthdays, football watch parties, holidays, work events. Barbecue is almost always involved somehow. So if you're not from Texas or the South, or obviously even America, it's honestly hard to explain how much smoked meat is genuinely a part of the culture here. Next stereotype, breakfast tacos are a personality trait in Texas. And I would say this is 100% true, especially in Austin and San Antonio. Texans love breakfast tacos, and once you leave Texas, you realize breakfast tacos just aren't really that common in other places. Texans are extremely loyal to their taco spots too. If you ask someone where the best breakfast taco is, they will answer immediately with full confidence. Everyone has their order memorized too. Bacon, egg, and cheese, potato, egg, and cheese, bean and cheese, chorizo and egg, migas tacos. People here genuinely treat breakfast tacos like a personality trait, and honestly, I support it. Everything is bigger in Texas, and this one is true, so painfully true. The roads are bigger, the trucks are bigger, the grocery stores are bigger, the portions are bigger, the homes are bigger, even the gas stations are bigger. If you've never been to Buc-ee's before, it's honestly hard to explain what it feels like, because technically, yes, it is a gas station, but it's not really a gas station. It's like a giant Texas roadside empire. There are rows and rows and rows of gas pumps, massive snack walls, full barbecue stations, merch everywhere, home decor, fudge counters, Texas themed everything. It's honestly chaos in the best way possible. And when people from outside of Texas go to Buc-ee's for the first time, they usually either become immediately obsessed or completely overwhelmed. But yeah, the everything is bigger in Texas stereotype definitely exists for a reason. Next, everyone drives trucks. This one is false. True, there are tons of trucks here, tons of SUVs too. People definitely drive bigger vehicles overall compared to Europe, as they do in the rest of the states, but not everybody drives a truck, especially in Austin. Honestly, Austin is full of Teslas. Teslas everywhere. You'll see lifted trucks, yes, but you'll also see electric cars, hybrids, luxury SUVs, Subarus, tiny compact cars. I think internationally, people picture Texas like every single person is driving a huge pickup truck wearing cowboy boots with a horse in the back, and that's just not reality. Texas is massive and really diverse depending on where you are. If you go into small rural towns, sure, you'll definitely see more trucks there, but Austin especially feels a lot more modern and tech focused. Nobody walks anywhere. I would say this is mostly true, and this was honestly one of the biggest culture shocks from moving back from the UK, because in London, people walk everywhere. You walk to the grocery store, you walk to the trains, restaurants, coffee shops. Public transportation is just a part of your daily life. Then I moved back to Texas and remembered that here, you drive everywhere, as you do really in the rest of the states. Even places that seem like they are close are usually designed for cars, not pedestrians, and Texas roads are huge. Crossing some intersections honestly feels like crossing an airport runway sometimes. Now, there are exceptions. South Congress in Austin is walkable, Mueller is walkable, downtown Austin has some walkable areas, but overall, Texas is extremely car-centered, and honestly, especially now as a parent, I do understand why some people like it, because drive-thrus are everywhere, parking is easy, grocery stores are huge, and there's a lot of space for strollers, but compared to Europe, the lifestyle difference is massive. Next stereotype, people actually saying y'all. Absolutely true. And the funny thing is you don't really realize that you say it until you leave Texas, but honestly, y'all is just efficient. It's useful. It fills the gap in the English language, and once you start saying it regularly, it's hard to stop. Even people who move to Texas, like myself, you eventually just accidentally start saying it. So yes, Texans absolutely say y'all. Friday night football is basically a religion. Very true, especially in suburbs and smaller towns. High school football culture in Texas is genuinely insane. The stadiums are massive. Some of them honestly look nicer than college stadiums. Entire communities show up to games. Families plan their Fridays around these football games. Local businesses sponsor teams. Even people who don't personally care about football still recognize how huge of a cultural thing it is here. And after living abroad and coming back, I realized how uniquely Texan this really is, because in a lot of countries, school sports are not treated remotely the same way, like at a college level. But in Texas, high school, which most people can't fathom, high school football is an event. Texans are extremely proud to be Texan. This might honestly be one of the truest stereotypes on the list. Texans love Texas. You will see Texas flags everywhere. Texas-shaped waffles, Texas-shaped cutting boards, Texas-shaped chips, Texas-shaped pool floats. Everything eventually becomes Texas-shaped. And I think one thing people outside Texas immediately notice is how strongly Texans identify with being Texan. Sometimes, honestly, before even identifying as an American, people here obsess over H-E-B, breakfast tacos, Whataburger, and Texas barbecue. It really does feel like its own culture outside of the States in a lot of ways. Next stereotype, people open carry guns everywhere. False. Now, obviously, compared to somewhere like the UK or anywhere in Europe, gun culture is definitely more common in Texas, but I think internationally people picture Texas as everyone just walking around like the Wild West with rifles everywhere, just like a gun in your pocket. And that's not reality, especially in Austin suburbs. Do you occasionally see someone open carrying? Sure, but it's not the same daily thing where you're constantly surrounded by it. Most of the time, everyday life here is honestly moms with strollers, people at coffee shops, families at playgrounds, kids at soccer practice, people walking around dogs. So it's very normal, but the international stereotype is usually way more extreme than the reality. Texas heat is unbearable. True. So true. This is not an exaggeration. If you have never experienced a Texas summer, I genuinely cannot explain how intense it feels. You walk outside in August and you immediately start sweating. Your steering wheel becomes a weapon. Your seatbelt becomes lava, and people here genuinely structure their lives around avoiding the heat in the summer. You'll notice playgrounds are packed at 8 p.m. because nobody's gonna go out in the middle of the day. And yes, technically, Arizona may have drier heat, but the Texas humidity makes it feel way more aggressive, especially Austin summers, in my opinion. The weather changes every 5 minutes. Also true. Texas weather is chaotic. It can be sunny in the morning, thunderstorm in the afternoon, humid at dinner, and hailing by nighttime. Tornado warnings are just casually part of life sometimes. Same with giant random hailstorms. It's insane. People say this about the UK, that their weather is very chaotic, and it is true. It can also be very unpredictable and can have all the seasons in one day, and the weather app is never accurate in the UK either, but it is way more intense here in Texas. The Texas weather definitely keeps you humble. Texas is very family friendly, very true, and honestly this is one of the reasons I really enjoy raising a family here. There are massive playgrounds everywhere, splash pads, family focused suburbs, kid friendly restaurants, outdoor spaces everywhere, because everything is just built bigger. There's just way more room for families in general. So restaurants always have high chairs, or a lot of times do have play areas for kids. Parking is easy. Stroller space is easier than in Europe in a lot of ways, and suburban family life is something that Texas just does really well, especially around the Austin suburbs like Round Rock, Cedar Park, Georgetown, Leander. There's just so much infrastructure here built around families. And that ties into the next stereotype: everything is built for cars and families. I would say that that is true. Again, this is one of the biggest differences compared to Europe. Huge parking lots, drive-thrus for literally everything. Drive-through coffee, drive-through pharmacy, food everywhere. And honestly, once you become a parent, you kind of appreciate it, because trying to drag a toddler on and off public transportation constantly is really exhausting. Whereas here, you can basically just load up everything into your car and just go. There are definitely downsides to car dependency, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of conveniences that become really noticeable once you have kids. Next, cowboys are everywhere. This one is false. Now, yes, occasionally you will see someone wearing cowboy boots or a cowboy hat, especially during rodeo season or country concerts. Even in Austin, you will see it sometimes. But I think especially internationally, people picture every Texan as a literal cowboy riding horses around in daily life, and that's just so far from reality. Most Texans are just, average people living suburban lives, working office jobs, going to Target, getting coffee, taking their kids to daycare. Texas has modern cities, tech industries, influencers, startups, luxury apartments, health-conscious coffee culture. All of that exists too. The cowboy stereotype is definitely exaggerated. And finally, Austin isn't really Texas. Honestly, this is debatable because yes, Austin does feel very different from other parts of Texas politically and culturally. It's more progressive, it's more walkable, it's more health conscious, and more tech focused. You'll see yoga studios, Teslas, vegan cafes, startup culture, influencer culture, but at the same time, Austin is still deeply Texan. People still love breakfast tacos. Barbecue culture is huge. Country music is everywhere. They'll still say y'all. Football culture still exists. Texas pride very much exists. So I think Austin is basically Texas with its own unique personality layered on top, and that's honestly why I love it so much. So overall, are Texas stereotypes true or false? Honestly, both. Some of them are completely exaggerated, especially abroad, but honestly, some of them are not exaggerated enough. And after living abroad for years and then moving back, I realized that Texas really does have a culture completely its own. Whether you love it or you hate it, there's definitely nowhere else exactly like it. So if you're from Texas, let me know which stereotype is the most accurate. And if you're not from Texas, tell me which one shocked you the most. Now let's take a look at why we decided to leave the UK after living there for 3 years and move back to the US.